Thank you, Winston. I was at an event one day, and on the break, a man came up to me, and he said, "Teri, why do you do what you do?" I said, "Well, I really want to help people." "Nope." He asked again, "Why do you do what you do?" I said, "Well, I think people have a lot of potential inside them, and I want to help them to access that." I thought that sounded pretty good. "Wrong," he said. "Why do you do what you do?" And all of a sudden, I thought of my dad. I grew up watching my dad work a job that he hated for 30 years. He would come home tired after work and miserable. He lived for Fridays, and he hated Monday. See, my dad had a degree in business. And when the recession hit in the 80s, he lost his job. And he ended up selling furniture at Sears for the next 30 years. And he hated every minute of it. I watched my dad go through 2 divorces, a bankruptcy, which led to what I now realize was depression, which he masked with alcohol. And I swore to myself, I will never get stuck doing a job that I hate. And then one day, I found myself sitting at my desk, working a very good sales job for a weight loss company, and hating my job. And my dad, he used to talk about this one day someday. Right? One day I'll quit this job. Someday I'll start a business. One day we'll take that vacation. And I found myself sitting at my desk thinking the exact same things. One day I'll quit this job. Now, I was really good at sales. And the problem with that was that as I sold more, the pressure increased to sell more. And as the pressure increased, my stress levels increased, and my blood pressure increased, and my anxiety increased. And have you ever blown up a balloon to the point where it reaches its threshold, and you try to squeeze in one little bit of air, and you feel the tension just... That was me. I was sitting at my desk, and I had just one more thing put on my plate, just one more bit of stress, and I popped. So I quit. I quit on the spot, and I walked out. Has anyone ever done that before? Have you ever just walked out on a job? Yeah. It was an amazing feeling. Me too. It was an incredible feeling. I walked out, and it was this rush of freedom and excitement and adrenaline. And I thought, I did it. I got my one day someday. For about 5 minutes. And then reality hit. My husband, who was my boyfriend back then, was in Regina for 6 months training to be a police officer. We had no savings. I had student loan payments. We had rent to pay. We had bills to pay, and I was the only one making money at that time. He wasn't being paid. And I didn't know what to do. And I don't recommend doing that, walking out on a job if you don't have a backup. I didn't know what to do. And I realized I had to figure it out really quickly. I'd been taking some personal training courses, and I went online that night onto Facebook, and I posted, "Boot camp starts Monday." And I wish I could tell you that I posted that one thing, and 50 people signed up, and I was an overnight success and made tons of money, and that didn't happen. I had 2 at 50% off. So I ended up going back and taking another job as a personal trainer in a gym. And I thought, well, this will be better. This time I'll get it right. It'll be okay now. And after about a year, I realized I was in the same spot, hating my job, with increasing pressure every day to sell more and do more. And I couldn't take it anymore. And again, I walked out. This time I started my own personal training business. And I thought, finally, I got it, my one day someday. I'm working for myself, I'm self-employed, it's all gonna be okay now. And then it happened again. It happened again where I found that, yes, I was working for myself, but I was getting up early every morning and showing up at a building and working all day, long hours, even longer than when I was an employee. And then I go home exhausted and tired. And if I didn't go to work, I didn't get paid. And now I couldn't just walk away because we had a mortgage and we had more bills. And now it was my business. I couldn't just leave it. And I was exhausted. I was exhausted. I was sick all the time. I was diagnosed with multiple autoimmune disorders from stress, and I didn't know what to do. And now I felt really stuck. And then my dad got sick. And over the next 8 months, I watched my dad, who was always my rock, I watched him shrink down and disappear. When I was going through his things, I found all of his old books and papers from business school. The businesses he wanted to start, the products he wanted to create. And I wondered what held him back. Why didn't he do it? And I realized he was scared. He was just afraid. And looking through his things, I thought, what would I do if I wasn't so afraid? What would I do differently? Now, with my dad's passing came a gift. Came many gifts, actually. See, my dad always said he would take care of his girls, and in his passing, he took care of his girls. And there was a course I always wanted to take. I had heard about NLP, and I was so fascinated by it. I wanted to study it. I felt like that was the thing that would help me to help other people in a deeper and more meaningful way. But I never had the money to do it, and the timing was never right, and I couldn't leave my business for that long to go train. I realized those were just excuses. And I had been making all of my decisions based on fear, not on what I really wanted. And now I had options, thanks to my dad. So I decided to leave my business and to go train in this new career and do what I really wanted to do, finally. I remember during that training, at one point I woke up in the night full of fear again. Because I thought, what if I fail at this? What if I invested my dad's legacy, his inheritance, into this, and I fail? Then what's the purpose of it all? In that moment, I realized, as long as I keep going and keep working and keep trying, I can't actually fail. So what would you do if you weren't afraid? What would you do? When I finished telling my story, the man looked at me and he said, "From now on, when someone asks you why you do what you do, you tell them that." Thank you.
Teri Holland.